Okay, so everyone says that this is in vertex form. How many say it's not in vertex form? How many say it is? Okay, quick recap. Vertex form. Just so that we're clear, maybe you'll change your vote. I mean, like, we're talking almost everyone said vertex form, and no one said it wasn't. I mean, there are just some of you that won't raise your hand and commit. I get it. Okay? So y equals a times the absolute value of b times 1x minus h absolute value plus k. That is vertex form. Now I will ask the question again. How many say this is in vertex form? How many says it is not in vertex form? Now how many of you actually know why it's not in? I think some of you just chose to change your vote because I asked it again. You're like, dude, he must be wrong. Okay. All right. Why is it not in vertex form? Emily? Good. This is supposed to be a 1 in front of the x. Does anyone know how to change that into a 1? Maddie? Good. You factor out a 3. Now, when you factor out a 3, you're pulling that out. Okay? 3x divided by 3, or 3 times what is 3x? 1x. And 3 times what is negative 3? Negative 1. That is now vertex form. Okay? Which tells us the vertex of this graph is actually, what's our h value? hk. H is 1. K is 5. Remember, your h is always opposite if it's in vertex form. The other way you could have done it, some of you are like, I didn't even do that, and I still got the same thing. I just said that this part, I just made 3x minus 3 equals 0. Well, that's okay. Remember, you can do that. You can add 3, okay, to get 3x equals 3. And then x equals 1. That would have been fine as well. Still would have given you 1, 5. How many got a vertex of 1, 5? How many changed it to this first? So yeah, it's fine doing it this way. That's why I approached it with that, like that for you. But technically, this is not vertex form. This is vertex form. Okay, so we're at 1, 5. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Right there. What's our slope? Okay, remember, it's these two things multiplied together. In this case, it's a 3. So that's our positive negative slope. So in this case, we're rising 3, running 1, and rising 3, running 1. And so it's a very, very thin looking V. Tell your neighbor what would happen if this V became, or excuse me, what would happen to this V if that slope was 100? Hey, what do you think? E? They pretty much go straight up. The lines would be very close together, very narrow. Ethan, do you have a question?
Why is it in the vertex form, would the x be 1 if it's negative 1?
H would be positive 1.
Why?
Because vertex form says x minus h. So it's just whatever h is here. Yeah. So if it said plus here, then it would be the opposite of that. Yeah. Good question. All right. How many think you got it? Okay. Now on your paper today, in example 3, where it says graph using graphing technology or something crazy like that. Here, let me using a graphing calculator. Okay. Sometimes it says graphing technology. Graph each absolute value. There. Now you don't have to read as much. You guys don't like the story problems anyway, so you just get rid of the story directions. So just graph. You don't get to use a graphing calculator, in other words. Okay. All right, we're going to go straight. Democracy here. Everyone has to do 21 tonight. My plan was to work through it with you. My other class, I didn't get to it. How many want me to work through 21 with them? Okay, so there's our democracy. If you don't want to, then you just don't pay attention. All right. Drew, Now this is like a good story here. Drew has enough cages for up to 24 finches and 38 parakeets. So in other words, Drew has a lot of cages. Well done, Drew. He has found a reliable source, so he's found this dealer that deals in parakeets and finches. Okay? Everyone has a good dealer like that deals in parakeets and finches. All right. All right. Like your Pokemon games, right? Okay. He has found that reliable source that charges $8 for each parakeet and $10 for each finch. Okay. He can spend no more than $300 on the birds to start his business. Oh, he's running a business. That makes it sound a little better at least. He's not just collecting birds, okay? So, he has a business. He can't spend more than $300 to buy these parakeets and finches. Write an inequality for the cost of the birds. Okay. Now, they give you a lot of info there. I want you to spend the next 30 seconds circling or underlining the info that you think is important. And just because it's a number does not mean it's important. Okay, Drew has enough cages for up to 24 finches and 38 parakeets. Does that seem important? Okay. He has found a reliable source that charges $8 for each parakeet, $10 for each finch. Does that information sound important?
Yes.
Okay. And he can spend no more than $300 on birds to start the business. Does that sound important?
Yes.
Okay. Write an inequality for the cost of the birds. Now, why is this stuff important and these aren't? Chantel?
Because it wouldn't matter when the budget is only $300.
Okay. Could potentially not matter. Cody?
Because you're dealing with money, and the 24 finches and 38 parakeets are just how much you can hold.
Okay. So this is dealing with how much it can hold, whereas this is dealing with money and cost. Okay. So let's write our equation there. What are we going to call parakeets? P. Number of parakeets and number of finches? F. Okay, now, like I said, some teachers are going to make you write out P equals parakeets and F equals finches. Okay, if you circle it in the problem there, I'm fine with that for now. Later on in the year, I'll make you write some more of that out. But parakeets and finches, all right? So, and that's the number of them. So, write an inequality for the cost. Well, what's a cost of a total cost for parakeets? So we think of our two situations: the cost of our parakeets, cost of P plus cost of F, cannot be more than what? 300. So how do we write that? Emily? Okay, so like that. Okay, greater than or equal to. This one has to be, that has to be greater than or equal to those two. Or these two costs added up have to be less than or equal to 300. So Emily added a point there. She said the cost of the parakeets is actually, she said 8p. How did she get 8p? Jody? Yeah, $8 per parakeet. 8p. $10 for a finch. That's a rate. 10f. Less than or equal to 300. Now graph the inequality. When we're graphing something like this, we've actually need to change up our scale a bit. Okay? I would change it to slope-intercept form or use standard form to graph it. Probably standard form here. Okay? Standard form says this, if f is 0, 8 times what's 300? That gives me a coordinate. So if I'm graphing, say like this, what do we want to put here? F or P? Are they dependent on each other? No. So let's call this one P and let's call this one F. Just for the sake of time there. Okay, if I put a 0 in for F, I'll get my P-intercept. What's 300 divided by 8? 27.5? 37.5. So the P-intercept is 37.50. Okay, that's P and that's K. Okay? What is our F-intercept? Put 0 in for P, we get 30. So it's 0, 30. That gives us 2 points. At 0, 30, what are we going to go up by here probably? We got to go out to 30 on P, or excuse me, out to 37.5 on P. What should we go up by? 1?
5.
5? Okay, so increase by 5. 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. So 37.5 is right about there. If we go out to 30 here, maybe by 5s again. Okay, so there's 30. We graph it. Now, tell your neighbor why this will only exist in quadrant 1. Why will our graph not exist anywhere past quadrant 1? You can't have negative amounts of finches and parakeets. All right, finish up that problem. We'll score it later.